and see if we're live here. Hello out there, as YouTube always takes just a little bit of time. I need some fancy introduction music or something like that while I'm waiting. All right, but we should be okay. Just a moment. If you can see this, post a comment. Let me know if we're visible out there. And I think we should be all right. One moment. Okay, we are working. All right, I am Drew Badger. Like, who is that? Bridgesh. Nice to see you there. So I am Drew Badger, the founder of EnglishAnyone.com and the English Fluency Guide, and welcome to another live video here on YouTube. We will be talking, as always, about how to become a more confident, fluent English speaker, and I wanted to prove a point, a very important point, because I will argue with learners about this all the time, about how many words they need to speak fluently. So I like to give lots of different content about this in different ways. But the truth is, you really don't need a lot to speak fluently, as I will prove in this video. It's really how well you know the vocabulary. Okay, so I'll say that again, how well you know the vocabulary. Another way to say this is comprehension triggers confidence. Comprehension triggers confidence. All right, so just think about these two words connected together, comprehension and confidence, or if you want to think about focus and fluency in the same way. But the basic idea is the better you know the vocabulary, the more confident you will feel about using it. So as we get started here, let's see if we have any questions or comments. George, nice to see you there. Nihal or Nihal, how are you? I'm doing well. And N says hi. The toy says hello, greetings from Brazil. Mike, hi to people. How are y'all going? Or you would just say, how are you doing? But hopefully people are doing well. Renee says greetings from Brazil. Yes, to my friends in Brazil, a lot of Brazilians always join on the live videos. It's a pleasure to welcome you all. Yuyen says, hi, you're my favorite teacher. I've changed the way I learn languages because of you. Glad to hear it. It's actually funny, many people tell me that, but I always remind them that I'm just really reminding you how you remembered or how you learned your native language. So people say I kind of taught them a new way to learn, but it's really the old way. It's the way everybody learns, and it's really just reminding people that you learn any language the same way. And that's basically the whole theme of this channel and the theme of this video, even specifically how well you know the vocabulary. And if you understand it like a native, rather than trying to understand it like a learner, then you will become a lot more fluent much faster. All right, let's see. Anyway, Lauren, nice to see you there. How's it going? Doing well. And from Iran, and Abby, hi, and Judy. Nice to see you there. All right. So today I brought a little prop because I want to prove something to everybody. This is the Cat in the Hat. I think this was published, when was this published? Let me check. I think this was published in the 1950s. Yes, 1957. Look at that. I'll just show you the copyright page here. See if I can find this specific thing. Look at that. Copyright 1957. So this book is older than I am. This physical one is not older than I am, but just going to show you, this is one of the most popular children's books for English learning kids, especially in the United States, probably in the UK, I would guess, as well. But anyway, the interesting background or story behind this book is that the publisher gave the writer of the book, Dr. Seuss, so Theodore Geisel, I believe that's his actual name. But Dr. Seuss, maybe you're familiar with this art style or this author. But the publisher gave him a challenge. He said, here is a list. I don't remember how many words exactly. I think he said like 430 words, something like that. So he gave Dr. Seuss a challenge. He said, you can only use these 430 words for a book. And Dr. Seuss actually lowered it to, I think, like 236 words, something like that. So this book actually has only 236 words in it, but they are used in very interesting ways. As I'll go through some examples of this book, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I just want to show you that how well you know the vocabulary is really the most important thing. So the comprehension leads to the confidence, or the comprehension triggers the confidence. As soon as you really feel like you understand something well, you've heard it many times, maybe from different speakers, you've heard it in different contexts, you really feel confident that you know it. So we don't become fluent simply by repeating a word again and again, because that's not really helping us understand anything better. But we do become fluent when we hear lots of different examples and we hear words used again and again. So again, excuse me, this is a book for kids, but I also recommend my adult students learn with things like this because it takes simple words and still uses them in interesting ways that adults also use. Okay, so even me, as I'm learning Japanese, I still read children's books in Japanese because there are lots of interesting things that adults use as well. It really helps me understand the vocabulary, to master it better, and that's why I'm able to speak Japanese without thinking in English. Okay, so if you'd like to translate when you speak, then continue learning the traditional way. But if you don't want to do that, if you want to communicate quickly, easily, naturally, without thinking or translating or hesitating when you speak, then really the goal is to focus on particular things, learn them really well, understand them very well, and then you will feel more confident about using them. So hopefully this won't be too long of a video. You can probably find this book, even maybe right here on YouTube, probably somebody reading the whole thing. That's another way to get good examples of it. I don't want to take the whole time to read this whole book because it's already been done elsewhere, I'm sure, but I do recommend you get some things like this. The one thing I will add about Dr. Seuss is that sometimes he puts nonsense words into things, like the name of a little monster or something is like a fizzle whizzle, and these are just words that he makes up where he's just creating something because it rhymes or it sounds nice, but those aren't real words. But there are lots of actual real words in this example, but hopefully I'll get to prove to you that really you can look at this, even just a small number of words, and these are words specifically for young children, like taken from a list of words that young readers would be learning, and let's get started. So we begin with the cat in the hat. Again, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but the basic idea of the story is that you have a young boy and girl are sitting at home by themselves. They have nothing to do, and so they're just thinking, well, it's rainy outside, we can't really go outside and play, and it's just boring, we're going to sit here, so what are we going to do? All right, so that's the idea. And then suddenly they hear a knock at the door, so they're just sitting there. Their mom is out, maybe doing some shopping or something like that. And then they hear bump at the door, a knock at the door, and even their fish is a little bit excited. He can talk in the book as well. And now they're going to begin a little adventure, just things going around in the house with the cat in the hat. So the cat is wearing the hat, but you could talk about this in the same way, like the cat in the hat, or the woman in the red dress, or the guy in the green shirt, that kind of thing. So even though he's not inside the hat, I guess his head is slightly inside the hat, but this is a way of speaking about that. And as you get these examples, just like when you're listening to me speak, it's not just the specific vocabulary I'm talking about. We're talking about like all of the phrases and things I use are very important to listen to because they give you the ways that natives really speak. Mike just had the example, men in black. Yeah, so that's the like men wearing black suits. So that Will Smith movie, Men in Black, same idea. So I'm going to cover just a few examples of vocabulary. There are more, actually quite a few, but I just went to just look through the pages very quickly, and I thought I would give you some of these examples. So the first one is to be about. Be about. Let me write this on the board for you, and then we'll take a look at it. So to be about. Now, you've probably heard this before when people are talking about, like, what is the movie about or something like that. So what is the content of something? But I'm going to read this page, and we're going to see what be about as a kind of different way of explaining what this might mean, to be about. So, but our fish said, no, no, make that cat go away. Go away. It's a really good phrasal verb. We'll cover that in a moment. Make that cat go away. Tell that cat in the hat you do not want to play. Now, another interesting thing about these Dr. Seuss books is that they rhyme, so it becomes a little bit easier to remember. I'll read it again. But our fish said, "No, no, make that cat go away. Tell that cat in the hat you do not want to play. He should not be here. He should not be about. He should not be here when your mother is out." He should not be here when your mother is out. Okay, so he should not be here. He should not be about. All right, in this case, the be about means, it just means around in this particular area. Okay, so like what is happening, what's around, what's about, what's happening in this particular place. So to be around a particular thing, maybe I am, if I told my friends like, oh, I'm around the university, or I'm around the restaurant, all right, or I'm about the place, like that, same kind of idea. So if someone is about, like there's like a criminal about right now. So it just means in this particular area, someone is here. I'll read the page again. But our fish said, "No, no, make that cat go away. Tell that cat in the hat you do not want to play. He should not be here. He should not be about." So he should not be in this area. He should not be in our house. He should not be here when your mother is out. So while your mother is outside of the house. All right, so notice these are all very simple words, but we have, again, a really interesting story, which I'm not going to read. I highly recommend you read The Cat in the Hat if you have not already. But you can see even with simple vocabulary, we can make some quite interesting phrases and even a whole story. All right, next one is put down. This is another phrasal verb, put down. So put down. And often when you're learning things as a second language, you might hear maybe put down, and then you get a translation of this. But a native speaker, typically they're going to learn this in a situation, and then they will also hear words used in other situations. So you can have put down, which has a few different meanings, and you'll probably guess the meaning of the one from this situation. So the fish is saying, "Put me down." What do you think he means by that? So a child listening to this story, put me down, says the fish. So the fish says, "Put me down," and you can get, oh, okay, I guess, yeah, to make something lower, or, you know, if you're holding something up, to put it in a lower place. So we have that idea as well. But we can also have a more figurative use, which is not in this book, but we can talk about putting someone down, meaning to make them feel worse. So if I'm saying bad things or mean things about someone, I'm trying to make them feel bad, that's also known as putting someone down, putting something down. Sacrifice is a little bit different to put down. But in general, we can take something from a higher location, like if I have this marker or this eraser up here, I can put it down here. So children will typically say, "Pick me up and put me down." Pick me up and put me down. Okay, so that's the physical use of it. I'll read you the page. "Put me down," said the fish. "This is no fun at all. Put me down," said the fish. "I do not wish to fall." I do not wish to fall. So here you can say, I do not want to fall, or I do not wish to fall. Again, we're hearing these different uses of things, and when a student says, well, how do you say this? Usually I will say, there are actually many ways to say something. So here we could say, oh, I don't want to fall, or I don't wish to fall, but here wish becomes a little bit better word because it rhymes with fish. Okay, so "Put me down," said the fish. "This is no fun at all. Put me down," said the fish. "I do not wish to fall. I do not wish to fall." Okay, pretty easy so far. You probably know all of these words, but again, the real question is, how well do you know them? And that's why we review. That's why we continue to get many different examples of things so we really understand them well. Okay, all right, next one. Hold up. Hold up. Now, what do you think is happening here? Hold up. To hold up. Hold up, another phrasal verb, to hold something up. Let me read the page. This is going to be a little bit longer. So Mike gave the example of wait. Yes, that's a more casual and conversational meaning, but let's see if that meaning is used on this page. Look at me, look at me, look at me now. It is fun to have fun, but you have to know how. I can hold up the cup and the fish on a rake. I can hold the toy ship and a little toy man, and look, with my tail I can hold a red fan. As I hop on the ball, but that is not all. Oh no, that is not all. Let me read it one more time. Look at me, look at me, look at me now. It is fun to have fun, but you have to know how. I can hold up the cup. I can hold up the cup. So where's the cup right here? We have a couple of different things. We have a little cup over here. So I have a cup. Here's a glass, maybe a glass. But both of these are, I'm holding up, just like I'm holding up the book. I'm holding up the book. So I'm holding it and moving it in an upward direction. So you can see it, to hold up the book. So I can hold up the cup and the milk and the cake. I can hold up these books and the fish on a rake. I can hold the toy ship. So here's the toy ship over here, a little toy boat. And this is, again, another use of nice vocabulary. So you can see the actual things happening. This is another good reason to read children's books, because the words are simple, but also it's easier to understand from the context. It's not like just looking at words on a page. So I can hold the toy ship and the little toy man here. And look, with my tail, so with my tail, I can hold a red fan. I can fan with the fan. So here he is saying he's using the verb and the noun in the same sentence. So I can fan with a fan. So to fan something, like I'm fanning my face right now. So I'm fanning with my hand, but you can fan with a fan. As I hop on a ball, or hop on the ball, but that is not all. Oh no, that is not all. Okay, so we have a couple of different uses of hold up. I'm not going to cover them all here, but the point is, as you're learning something like this, you should be thinking, oh, this is an interesting example. So he's holding up lots of different things. He's holding up some books. He's holding up something like this, and it just means like you're kind of working against gravity. So if I let go, that's another good phrasal verb, to let go of something, the book will fall down. So I have to hold it up. I have to keep it up here. I'm keeping the book or holding the book up here, okay? But there are many other interesting uses of hold up, including a use used by police or criminals. All right, so let's talk about the opposite here. Oh no, what's happening in this situation? Now we're going to talk about come down, to come down. So here we've learned a few phrasal verbs, and we're just taking basic words like come, down, put, down, up, and we're just combining them, using them in different ways. And when you understand the vocabulary very well, you know how to use the vocabulary well. So you see, I'm actually able to really create new words or new ways of expressing things with the same vocabulary. So I'm not trying to learn new words. I want to understand the same vocabulary really well. All right, let's listen to this page. This is what the cat said. Then he fell on his head. Oh no, he fell on his head. He came down with a bump. So that means he came down and then he maybe hit the ground or something, and that made that sound. So he came down with a bump. And from up there on, or he came down with a bump from up there on the ball. And Sally and I, so the brother and sister there, Sally and I, we saw all the things fall. We saw all the things fall. I'll read it once more. That is what the cat said. Then he fell on his head. He came down, so he came down, again that phrasal verb there, he came down with a bump from up there on the ball. So you could say from up on the ball or from up there on the ball. Both of those are fine. And Sally and I, we saw all the things fall. We saw all the things fall. Pretty easy, right? So he could say he fell down or he came down. So he was up here, but now he's down here. All right, pretty simple. All right, next one. We're gonna do, actually this is another phrasal verb, and you can see how useful these are. That's why I spend a lot of time teaching them. Again, so many great reasons to learn phrasal verbs. This is why we cover them a lot. I have a whole program, the Visual Guide to Phrasal Verbs, as well as Fluent for Life, which contains that. But this one is fall into, to fall into something. And as you learn to think more like a native, you will understand these differences, like if you're falling on something or falling through something, like if we have a hole and we're going to fall through that thing, or if we're going to fall inside something else. So if I have like a basket right here, and I take this marker and I drop it like this, the marker will fall into the basket. It will fall into the basket. But if I have a basketball and there's a hoop or a ring, maybe the marker will fall through that thing, okay? So we're learning to think more like a native, understand how these things work, and let's see how it is in the example sentence here. And our fish came down to. So here's that same thing. We've got the past tense, so came down, come down. And that's another thing that's nice about these books where, again, we get that naturally varied review. We want to hear things again and again, not exactly the same way, but if we can hear maybe the past or the present, or we can hear it in a different sentence, it will be much easier for us to remember. So, and our fish came down to, he fell into a pot. So he fell into a pot. So you can say he fell in or he fell into. Both of those are fine. So he fell in a pot or he fell into a pot. Typically with like a Dr. Seuss book or something like this where we're trying to rhyme and we want to get certain beats into a sentence. Like if I read it again, and our fish came down to, he fell in a pot. It doesn't sound as nice as fell into a pot. Fell into a pot. So we want a certain number of beats or sounds in a sentence, and that's why this is chosen. But you could say he fell in the pot. Both of those are fine. Typically in, if we're talking about like moving in or moving into implies some kind of motion, but because we have fall with there as well, fall is the motion, and then in is the location. So he fell in something, or he fell into that thing. He said, so the fish is talking now, do I like this? Oh no, I do not. This is not a good game, said our fish as he lit. No, I do not like it, not one little bit. So look at that, he kind of fell right here, and he fell into or fell in the pot. So you can call this a pot or a teapot. Again, he probably just said pot, not teapot, because if we add an additional sound there with teapot, it's not as nice to listen to. So, and our fish came down to, he fell into a teapot, rather than he fell into a pot. He fell into a pot, okay? Pretty simple, right? So we're just taking all these simple words that you probably know already, but just trying to understand them better by getting a broader range of examples. All right, pretty simple. All right, last example. And again, another phrasal verb. There are actually quite a few interesting things in here, not just phrasal verbs, but I wanted to just show you this because it's really a good example of how we're taking words you already know and just recombining them or combining them in different ways. And so this is put, what's the example here? Put out. So put out. So we move along in the story, and one of the things that the cat in the hat does, so just for the other examples here, we begin where the cat in the hat is basically trying lots of things to keep the kids entertained, and then a little bit later in the story he brings in these two little guys, little creatures, and they're just called Thing 1 and Thing 2. And so now these guys are going to run around, that's another phrasal verb, to run around the house and start creating some more trouble basically. And so the fish is getting even more excited. So I'll just show you this scene over here. The cat in the hat brings over a crate. So this is you can call this a box or a crate. Typically a crate is something made out of wood like this, like a wood crate. So he lifts up this little latch, and then out come Thing 1 and Thing 2. And so the fish says again, they should not be here when your mother is out. And that's the same thing he said about the cat in the hat. They should not be here. So they should not be here when your mother is out. Put them out, said the fish in the pot. Okay? Oh, excuse me, let me read that again. I read that incorrectly here. They should not be here when your mother is not. Excuse me, when your mother is not. Put them out, said the fish in the pot. Put them out, said the fish in the pot. See how that rhyme corrected me. So they should not be here when your mother is not. Put them out, said the fish in the pot. So again, we can take something and put it out. So we can put something up put something down, or we can put something in, put something out. All of these things, we're just combining different basic words and making more interesting and usually more complex sentences. Okay, pretty simple. So we want to take these guys and make them go, make them leave, put them out. So it's like if you think about putting a dog or a cat outside, same kind of idea. So make them go. And the other example, another thing I gave earlier in the book, which was on another page, is to go away. Away. Let me write this more clearly. So make them go away, or you can tell someone to go away. So you are here, I can say go, 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 leave, or just go away. I don't care where you go, just leave from here, okay? So I didn't want this video to be terribly long. I want to make sure I'm just answering questions if you have any for me. But the basic idea, again, is this book proves, like many other books do, that you don't need to know a lot of English to speak well. You just need to know that English well. And this is, again, why native English-speaking children, maybe they don't know many words, but they can use those words very well. They understand those words very well, and that's why they're able to speak fluently, okay? So if you would like to speak better, stop trying to learn more words and take the vocabulary you already know and use that better. Learn that more, get more examples of those things. So even things like this, like if I talk about put down, I gave a figurative example of that as well, like to make someone feel bad, or to hold someone up, like we talk about holding someone up, like hold up your hands like this. Oh no, like look at that, it's like a police siren right now. Put your hands up, hold up your hands, same kind of thing. Okay, but again, the idea is if we take a very simple set of words, and this is only 236 words, so 236 different words. There are more actual words in the book, but the total number of words used is only like 236, I think. But the basic idea, you can look for books like this when people ask me if they should read novels or things. If you're not yet speaking fluently, don't read novels, read stuff like this, okay? You will feel great, you will understand it quickly and easily, you will get many examples, lots of good naturally varied review, not just repetition. We don't want to take something and just repeat it again. We want to see it in different ways because that helps us understand the vocabulary better, okay? So we take, again, 236 words, repeat them in different ways. That's the naturally varied review. We need to understand the vocabulary better, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions about the cat in the hat or anything else, let me know. Now is the time. Again, I didn't want to make too long of a video today, but we'll see how everyone is doing. All right, let's see. Morning Stars, is it just me or his voice is kind of low? It should be okay. I think maybe I'll look into getting a lav mic, but this is what I've just been using for a long time. All right, Bridge says, hi, Teacher Drew. Look forward to your teaching every week. Glad to hear it. And Sabir says, from Bangladesh, it's sleeping time. Well, thank you for joining us. Alejandro says, hello, what's up? And Badi says, hello. And Satsain says, but I am here. Glad to hear it. All right, I think we've got some more examples. Funny how put up has a whole different meaning. Yes, again, a lot of these will have slightly different meanings, but often there is a core meaning of vocabulary. And if you get enough examples, you can understand what something means, all right? Sometimes it's a completely different meaning, but typically we usually have maybe one or two, maybe three core meanings of something like that. All right, Alejandro says, put someone down. There's a song from the Carpenters which reads, rainy days and Mondays always get me down. I believe it's the same meaning, right? Well, to get someone down typically means like something else is lowering you, and typically this means lowering you mentally. You maybe don't feel so excited about something, so you feel maybe, I don't know, sad or something. Lots of Carpenter songs are a little bit, they're kind of melancholy, a little bit sad like that. But yeah, so like when something gets you down, you're kind of saying that the other thing is making you feel bad in some way. So rainy days get me down, but we wouldn't really say rainy days put me down, because put me down is specifically for like someone saying something bad to you or making you feel small. So it's like if you think about people in like a social status or a social rank, someone might say, oh, like your clothing is stupid or something. I'm trying to think of a good example, but if you're laughing at someone because they have, I don't know, something is worse about them, or even if there's nothing really bad, but you're just saying something bad about them, you're trying to put that person down. So you're trying to you're putting them on a lower social status. That's the idea behind that. So it's still a similar idea to taking something physical like this. I have a marker or eraser or something in my hand and I put it lower. I can try to do that with people as well if I make them feel bad, or again, we have a social status where I want to feel more superior than someone else. All right, that's the basic idea. But good question. All right, let's see here. Where do we get? Very interesting, Dr. Seuss, to tumble down. Yes, that's another way of expressing it. Very good, Mike. Dr. Sumartono, good morning from Indonesia. Nice to see you there. From the Philippines, Jay. All right, Yasmin says hi, and Rajesh, if I got that correct pronunciation there. Sorry, sort of interrupt, but did you saw the mail that I sent? Did I see the mail? I don't know what mail you're talking about. Jerima says, hi, I'm late for the class, but I'm here now. Welcome. And remember, even if you are not watching these live, you can still benefit from it. You don't need to see me do this live in order to, you're learning the exact same thing. All right, Nabil says, my TOEFL is 125 speaking, but I want to speak and tell stories better. Give me a practice plan. I want to do sales. Well, you can actually combine both of those things. If I would watch people giving sales presentations about stuff. So if you want to learn more about selling or how to give, you know, telling stories and that kind of thing, that's a lot of what selling is. So if you watch people, like if you already know a lot of English, don't watch me, watch someone who's specifically giving, you know, like sales training or something like that. And again, the idea is to get many, many, many examples of different things, and you will automatically start using things more confidently. Emerson says, oh, Alejandro, excuse me. Alejandro says, how could I practice some new words using ChatGPT? I was actually just experimenting with ChatGPT voice yesterday. And it was a little weird. I was kind of testing some Japanese with it, and it basically sounds like a foreigner speaking Japanese. They don't have like a Japanese voice. Maybe in Japan they do, but I haven't found that example. They only gave a few examples of different voices you can use. So the English sounds quite good. It sounds like pretty much like a natural person. The AI voice is much better than it used to be, and it's improving quickly. But some interesting things I found about ChatGPT, I'll just mention this as because I was testing it. I wanted to see if there was any value for you all or for me as a learner as well. The first thing is ChatGPT is designed to be quite agreeable. I know that sounds like a funny thing, and it's nice to get praise from ChatGPT. So ChatGPT is really like, great job. Like you really understood that thing. And part of it is it's designed that way to make you feel better. But it works against ChatGPT often when you're trying to learn and you want someone actually to correct you and be a bit more strict. So you might try playing with ChatGPT in that way. And tell it like it's okay to be strict. If I make a mistake, could you please correct it? But often I have found, even talking with ChatGPT in English, it will make mistakes, or the kind of writing I'll do, I will ask it certain things and it will come back wrong. So I feel less confident about it for language learning if I don't know the language already. So if I'm trying to learn something in Japanese, I want to get many more examples besides what ChatGPT has. And quickly again about the agreeableness thing, I just thought that was really interesting because I was kind of testing ChatGPT, and I was comparing two different things in Japanese, and I was saying, what's the difference between these two things, just seeing what ChatGPT would tell me. And I said, oh, it sounds like the first sentence is like meaning a little bit stronger. And then ChatGPT said, oh, you're exactly right. And I said, So my next comment was, never mind, I changed my mind. I think the second one is stronger. And then ChatGPT was like, yeah, you're right. So again, that's that kind of agreeableness where you're looking for authority when you're learning. You want like a correct example so you know something is going to explain to you something very well. And I've found that ChatGPT requires a lot more to get like good information from it to make sure it's accurate. But having said that, so even though I've just kind of said a few things about ChatGPT, I do find it useful for getting examples. So like the kinds of things in the cat in the hat, it would be easy for you to take 10 words and give that to ChatGPT and say, hey, could you make 5 different sentences or 10 different sentences with this vocabulary? Or tell me a quick story using this vocabulary. And that will give you some good examples about how to use things. Or just like we do in our videos here, you could say, is there a way to use something more figuratively? Or could you give me 10 different uses of like be about or hold up or something like that? So if you already know what the vocabulary is, then it's easier to ask ChatGPT or whatever you're using to give more examples of things. But I'm just saying, be careful with using it. It might give you some incorrect answers or not make you feel as confident as you should feel. So don't only rely on ChatGPT. So look for like a Google or go to YouTube and watch native speakers actually talking about things. But once you understand something and you feel confident about it, I would recommend getting more examples with ChatGPT that way. All right, hopefully that makes sense. All right, let's see here. And Emerson says, hello from Sao Paulo, Brazil. I found your channel recently. It's amazing. Thanks for your help. Glad to hear it. If you know other people who would like the channel and who want to speak fluently in Brazil or anywhere else, number 1, click the like button. And number 2, tell other people about it. Just share the video. All right, Richard says, good morning. Hello from Malaysia. Nicholas says, I think that you should turn up the volume. Is everybody's volume up max? Because I've got the volume up. It's really the same volume level every video. I don't change the gain on the microphone at all. He says, hello, teacher, thank you. I made a mistake. I made a mistake. When to use which? Both of those are fine. In this example, like I made a mistake about something or I have made a mistake. It's just you're talking about something. It's just a different way of saying that. But both of those are fine for that situation. Kay says, nothing, I don't know. Let's see, Alejandro says, thanks for the clarification, Drew, glad to hear it. How many pages does the book have, says Mike. And again, this book has, so again, this is like taking some correct English, some basic English, instead of saying how many pages does the book has, you would say how many does it have. This copy of the book has 61. 61. But there might be, it's been printed many times, and so there will be maybe different copies of it. And I think there are also some Dr. Seuss books that are also even shorter. So they have simpler, shorter versions for younger readers. Like One Fish, Two Fish. That's a book I have the full book of One Fish, Two Fish, and also a one for little kids. It's the same thing, One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Blue Fish. But all of those are good. Let's see. Kay says, hi. Oh, okay, from Nippon. And Annaberg, use this pill, make your headaches go away. Yes, idea is the same there, to make something go away, to make it disappear. And JC Sento, hello, Drew. Timuri, nice to see you there. Hello. And Marceliana. David says, hello, teacher. And Fawani, if I'm correct, let me know if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly, from Thailand. George again, ChatGPT, yes, you are right. Never argue with a fool. Salvador says, hi, my teacher, you are my teacher for a long time, my friend, glad to hear it. And Doe says, I've just broke up. You mean woke up or broke up? Like you broke up with your girlfriend or boyfriend or something? What do you mean? Listen to you make me calm down. Oh, so you broke up with someone. Oh no. Hopefully you're okay. If you have any questions, let me know. Maybe I think I've given some relationship advice on these videos before. And Debbie says, hey Drew, I've been watching you since 2016. Oh my goodness, thank you for everything that I learned with you. Cheers from Brazil. Glad to hear it. All right, look at that. We got to the end of comments. So if nobody has any further questions, maybe we'll just keep this a short video today. Look at that, amazing. I'm gonna give you I'll give you like 10 seconds as I erase the board over here to see if you have any questions about anything. We can talk about this, but the basic idea is a really simple one. Just stop trying to learn more vocabulary if you don't already feel confident about what you know. And of course we get, I know, the police are back, or the fire truck. All right, let's see what we have here. Morningstar again. Hi, Drew. Would you mind talking about spicing up our spoken English, like for students in universities? If your English is already at a really good level and you're trying to be more expressive, I would just watch other people speaking. So if you are a university student and you don't have any basic errors in your English and you feel confident, just spend a lot of time paying attention to other people speaking. Professors as well. So if people are giving lectures or talking about things, you can learn a lot from those people as well as watching other students. So that's the best thing. But for many people, they want to express themselves in more interesting ways, but they still are making basic errors with their English. So if you sound like, if we're going to look at like 3 different learners over here. So here's person 1, let's say person A, person B, and person C. So these are all English learners over here. Here we have person A doesn't know many words over here. So let's just see, doesn't. Actually, I'll make a little fancy chart for you guys here. If I can do this, let me see. I've never done this before. I'm thinking about it on the fly. So on the fly. But hopefully, so on the fly means like without any preparation. So we have, let's see, so vocab, and then we have like errors over here. So let's say we have person A doesn't know many words, all right? So this is like, vocab is a little bit low. But the errors, they don't make any errors at all. So like they get a check for that. And then person B, let's say they actually know a lot of words, but they have a lot of errors in their speech over here. And then person C over here, they have a high vocabulary and basically no errors in their speech. Okay, so we have 3 different kinds of learners here. What you will find in most conversations, like these 2 people here are the most like respected in a conversation. But this one here, it's a lot more difficult to express your ideas because it looks like you're trying to use more difficult vocabulary, but you don't actually know the basics, okay? So it's like people are trying to sound more intelligent, or they're using more words, and like they might be intelligent, that's not really the issue. It's just the decision to learn more, but still have many errors in your speech. So I know lots of students like this, like most of the people I help are in this group right here. So if you don't know many words, but you use them well, that's a good speaker. This is like a native child over here. Or even like a good learner that understands they should review things, and as you get good, then you start increasing your vocabulary. But typically, if you know vocabulary well, you can also use more interesting examples of vocabulary, okay? Like hold something up or put something down, put someone down. I can use that in different ways because I understand the vocabulary well. Remember that comprehension triggering confidence. So it's not about repeating the vocabulary or speaking to people more. If I understand the vocabulary more, I will use it better. So this learner over here, learner A, will be respected. They will say, oh, I guess maybe they don't know many words, but wow, they really speak well with the words they have. And then of course you have typically a really good speaker, like a fluent speaker, has a lot of vocabulary, but also very few errors and not like, actual grammatical errors that most learners would make. So don't be this person here. Especially if you want to get a job or you want to communicate well with people. People won't ask you how many words you know. they're going to ask you how well you can speak, all right? And this is typically, like if you're in a job interview, that's the kind of thing, like if I'm giving a job interview, that's the thing I'm looking for. I don't care about how many words you know. Obviously, you should know some amount of words, but it's more important to me that you speak correctly and you know that vocabulary well, okay? So remember this idea. All right, let's see here. And Double says, what books would you recommend for fluency in English speaking? So I made a video about that, and that's these books get you fluent in English. You should look at that video. But it's the same basic idea of things like this, where you're reviewing things in natural ways, getting lots of good review, what I call naturally varied review. So we're seeing things in different ways, getting to understand them better, and that's what's going to get you fluent. So if you can read and speak well, and you can take something like the story of the cat in the hat, could you tell the story of the cat in the hat? So even if you don't remember all the vocabulary, could you explain what's happening? Could you tell it well? And would you feel confident doing that? And remember, this book, it's only 236 words. Could you do that? So if you can't, so we don't want you to get stuck here where you're trying to learn a lot more vocabulary, but you don't really use it well. Okay. So don't worry about a specific book. It's more about finding things that you really understand well, and then if you're trying to get yourself up to another level, I think Bruno is just asking about that right now, about graded readers, which I do recommend. I use those with my own girls. So this is where we're trying to slowly level you up to get a higher level with your fluency and your understanding, but we want to do that one step at a time. So if you understand at least 80 to 90% of the information you're reading, you can understand new things in that vocabulary. So like in that book, you can understand most of it. You don't need to look at a dictionary every 2 minutes. That's going to be very frustrating for people. Baraco says, hi, Richard again. My issue is that when I memorize new vocabulary words, after a couple days, they slip my mind. Yes, they leave your mind typically because you're trying to review them rather than getting naturally varied review. So most people, what they do, they will get a vocabulary word, like let's say we have a word like tough, just as an example, tough. So if you learn a new word like tough, and maybe you hear one example of it, and then you just repeat that word over and over again, tough, 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 I'm just going to repeat that word. A better way to review that in a more memorable way is actually to hear it used in different situations. And I think we covered this specific word a few videos ago. I was talking about like, oh, this exam was really tough. So it was a difficult exam. Or I'm trying to chew on a steak and this steak is really tough also. It's hard to chew. And as you get those different examples, you feel more confident about the vocabulary because you understand it better. Remember that confidence, all right? The confidence, that's what we need to speak. That comes from comprehension, from understanding something very well. Let's see here, and hopefully, did I skip anybody? All right, on the run, yes, as another example, I know many words, I know grammar, but I can't speak. Yeah, so this is typically the reason. So a person who has a larger vocabulary, but they actually can't communicate very well because they just don't know that vocabulary very well. The real reason most people struggle is because of doubt. So they have some reason, maybe they don't understand something very well, they're worried about pronunciation or grammar or whatever, the usage of a word, and that doubt will stop you from speaking. So you might think you know something, but until you really own that word, until you really understand it well, you're going to have trouble using it. All right, so get more examples and that will make you feel better. You don't have to try speaking with anybody. You don't need to do it with anything else or with anyone else. Just get more examples of that. Let's see, Emerson says, after studying some of your videos, I took an EF test for a job and found that I currently have a level B2 above average. Well, hopefully that's good. I don't know what your level was before that, but hopefully you have improved. But very good. Emerson, congratulations. And Saba says, hello, I'm from Eritrea. I live in America almost 3 months, so I not speak fluently English. Yes, spend more time getting more examples. That's what you should do. So actually take time, like read The Cat in the Hat 10 times. I know it's repetition, but there's a bit when you're starting to learn something, you get some new material like this. There is a good, you should repeat that information a little bit. You don't need to read it 100 times. You're not trying to memorize the information, but you will learn a little bit more and feel a little bit more confident each time you read it. And then if you get some different information, like another book I think there's also a sequel, like The Cat in the Hat Returns or something. I don't know if that's an actual book or not, but you can probably find words, like you can tell ChatGPT to make you a new story like The Cat in the Hat. Just say, hey, here are the 200 words from Cat in the Hat. Can you make me a new story? And ChatGPT will just make a story. And so you can say, make a, I don't know, 600 word or whatever long story, and you can create something like that to give yourself even more review. All right, let's see. Marceliana, hello from Brazil. And Luis says, I understand you when you speak, and there are words that I don't know, but any times it makes sense in the phrasal. But hopefully, if you're watching and you're understanding most of what I say, even if you don't understand all of it, it's okay. That's why if you watch, typically people will watch one video of mine and then they watch another one and they understand even more. And they watch another one and they hear me talking about something different, but a lot of the similar vocabulary is used. So the more you review and get that, again, varied review, not just try to repeat the same thing over and over again, but that will make you feel much more confident. Let's see, is the book available in Japan or Amazon or other online shopping? I'm sure it is. You can take a look. But The Cat in the Hat is very common. Yeah, we probably got this off Amazon Japan, probably. Francisco, hi there. What would be a good advice to improve my pronunciation by my own? And so this is another example. Again, I'm not trying to make anyone feel bad. I'm not trying to put anyone down by correcting things, but I think these are good examples that everybody can benefit from. So hi there, what would be a good way, or you can say what would be good advice for improving my pronunciation by myself? Okay, so remember, advice is uncountable, so we don't say a good advice, we just say what is good advice. Or if you want to talk about a specific thing, we say a piece of advice. Or usually we just say give me advice or give me some advice. But for pronunciation, there are basically two things I recommend. It's actually quite simple. The first one is download Frederick, so that's in the link in the description below this video, and that will teach you. We'll take a lot of basic words, or start with basic words and go into more difficult ones, but they help you understand the pronunciation of words by seeing how the letters and sounds are connected. So you learn something like cat, just like we have in The Cat and the Hat, and then we have hat, and we have other words. Sorry, let me put that down here, hat. And so we see how the different sounds, as we change letters, how does the word sound change? Okay, so that's the first part of that. So download Frederick. You can get it at the App Store or Google Play by the link in the description below this video. And then the second thing is to listen to lots of examples of different native speakers. So this is what we do in Fluent for Life. It's for people who want to hear many different kinds of speakers, and that will naturally give you the correct pronunciation and also for your English-speaking voice. So if you listen to me, maybe you like the way I sound, or you like a different person, like an actor or somebody like that. You don't have to sound exactly like them, but find a few people and you will start to sound like those people as you listen to them more. Okay, so just get lots of good native examples, and just like native English children are learning pronunciation, that's how they do it. So they're learning the individual sounds and how sounds change when you change letters. Okay, let's see. I got some Spanish over there from Louise. Let's see. Francisco, oh, okay, I got that one already. And Samir says, I'm in 3 level B1. I see. Let's see, Baracco says, I know how my brain works. I write every new word in my mother tongue, then my brain memorized it. I write every new word in my mother language. You mean in your, like you're translating all those words? If you're doing that, that's going to cause you a lot of trouble. Remember, how you learn is how you speak. So if you take words and you write a bunch of translations of them, that's going to cause you more trouble when you speak, because you will be thinking through translations. That's why I do all of my videos in English. I don't have a special YouTube channel for Japanese learners of English because Japanese learners of English should be learning English the same way natives do. All right, so I would teach the same way in Brazil or Thailand or Mexico or wherever. Everybody should be learning English in English if they want to speak. Okay, if you just want to get some, you need to pass a test, or you just need some information very quickly for a trip, go get some translations. But if you actually want to communicate, you should be learning everything all in English. Let's see. Oh, Nils is there. Annette, all right, from Wisconsin. Tsubasa Drew Sensei, Ohio. Ohio gozaimasu. Mohammed says, good morning. All right, Emerson says, I started using the method taught by Drew. English as a first language is helping me a lot. Glad to hear it. Yeah, so I've never found anyone that it's not helped. So if you tell people, hey, you should learn English as a first language, and when they understand what that is, at first they don't believe it's really possible. But when they start getting examples and they see, I can actually learn English the same way a native does, and I feel much more confident now. And so, because you're understanding the language better. So yes, you will become fluent faster if you learn English as a first language rather than learning it as a second language. Remember, there's a little switch inside your brain. And so the switch, the fluent communication switch that I call it, if you have doubts about things, that's going to stop you from speaking. And a lot of those doubts come from learning things through your native language. So if you understand things in English, you don't need to translate. You flip the fluent communication switch and you can start speaking. All right, Salvador, again, I have learned a lot from you, and I am very grateful as well as everything we are watching in this video. Glad to hear it. Remember, if you like this, click the like button and tell people. Share this video on social media or whatever. If you enjoy the video, tell your friends. Just say, hey, it is possible to become fluent, and it's not that difficult if you start understanding English as a first language. All right, let's see. And M says, hi, dear, grammar is important question. Yes, obviously grammar is important. The point is, when I explain to people about learning grammar, you're getting grammar from me right now. You're hearing grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, maybe some cultural references or something, just like we're talking about here with the cat in the hat. And all of those things are connected. And as you learn like a native, you get to hear all of them together. We don't have a separate lesson about vocabulary because you need kind of grammar with vocabulary to understand how it works. And vocabulary usually has a meaning in a situation. So the vocabulary is always connected with a situation rather than what people normally do, which is try to connect it with some word in their native language. But if you want to understand it like a native, so you use it like a native, then you need to think and learn like a native. I am from India, says nice ideas. Mike, again, thank you, Drew, for teaching us. I already feel I've learned and improved my English. Glad to hear it. And Sage says, hello, best teacher. It's a good idea. It's good idea. Practice speaking English with AI instead of people. This is Sage. Thanks. Again, I talked about ChatGPT a little bit ago, but it's helpful for some things, but less helpful for others. I will continue to experiment with ChatGPT, especially with the voice, and we'll see if I improve my Japanese with that. I'm sure I can, just because I know how to teach, and I basically have to teach ChatGPT how to teach me. So it's kind of a tricky thing, because if I just ChatGPT basically thinks like a regular English as a second language teacher. It's going to give you examples and then try to explain how the grammar works, because that's what everybody does, or what most people do. So I have to explain to ChatGPT how it should teach me, and that's what I'm doing. So whenever I start a new conversation, I always have to begin. I paste in some English about here's how you can teach me, and it gets a little bit better. All right. Let's see. Yes, people still talking about increasing the volume. Hopefully, I don't think I can make it much louder than this. I can understand most of what you are saying, but I can't construct sentences when I speak. Yes, so this is the core problem people have. So that's this right here. Basically, your understanding is good, but your ability to communicate is weaker than that. And the basic reason is because you have doubt about vocabulary or pronunciation or whatever. I've given this example before, but I will give it again, just because it's a good thing to remind people of. But when people say they understand vocabulary, you have from maybe 0% understanding to to 100% understanding over here, and most people, they get like a little bit of understanding. So they understand something enough to like maybe hear it. They can recognize that. I call this the awareness level of understanding. But when you get to the ownership level over here, when you really understand something well, that's where you really feel very confident about using the language. So you have understanding here, and you have a lot of doubt over here. So you need to remove the doubt in order to become a confident speaker. That's the basic idea. And you don't really do that by speaking with other people. You can, but even in a conversation, the improvement, like when I'm speaking with ChatGPT, the improvement is really coming from ChatGPT, not me. So it's giving me examples or explaining how I can use something better or something like that. Like that's the actual improvement because I'm learning something in that situation. Okay, so it's a little bit different. But in general, you understand something but don't speak because you have doubt about the language, whatever that is, vocabulary, pronunciation, or anything else. Mohammed says, about grammar, what are the most important rules that we should work on in order to get fluency and communicate better with natives? You can look up grammar examples, but each person is also different about what they know. So some people know some grammar points, but not others, and you can just think about what you, the better way to understand this is what do you want to express? So think about a situation, and you can ask ChatGPT even in your native language, like, I want to talk about this. What are some examples of how natives would express that? And so you get the grammar point from the situation, not trying to think about what a grammar point is. And it's much easier to understand grammar that way. So if I get a grammar point, like an example I give sometimes is, I don't know, what's a good one? Like the present perfect. So here we're talking about like I have green eyes, or I have a green shirt, or I can talk about I have experiences. So I have played baseball. So here I'm not trying to study the present continuous or the present perfect or anything. I don't really care about the name of the grammar point. What is important to me is that I'm explaining a situation well. And so if I'm talking to ChatGPT and say, hey, ChatGPT, like I know how to talk about me, like personally, like I can say I have green eyes or I have, short hair, but how do I talk about my experiences? And ChatGPT would probably give me some examples, and one of them would probably be like that. So ChatGPT might say, oh, like I have done something. That's a way of talking about what you do. So this is how I kind of teach ChatGPT to teach me things. So I'm not trying to say like, give me a grammar point. I will explain to ChatGPT, here's a situation, what are some different ways that natives would express that? And then it's a lot easier for ChatGPT to not make a mistake about that because it's just kind of pulling examples from places already. But it gets a little bit trickier when you're trying to ask for clarification about things. But that's why I kind of use ChatGPT to get lots of examples because those are typically going to be correct. And then I can get those examples from, I can kind of compare those examples with something from Google that a native speaker probably wrote. All right. So don't think about like a grammar point because that's less interesting, less emotionally, less meaningful to your mind. So your brain doesn't really care about that. And that's typically why if a teacher is just explaining a grammar point, like even me, like I go to ChatGPT or anywhere, like if I want to know about a grammar point, and it will typically just explain it to me. It's like, well, this is like in the past tense, but it's in like the passive voice also. And it's just like telling me all this information, but it's the same thing like in a movie. In a movie, we say show, don't tell. Show, don't tell. So show, don't tell means if you have a character and the character says, I'm angry. It's like, okay, the character says they're angry, but I don't see them being angry. It's much better for the character to just, you can see the person being frustrated or angry or upset or whatever, and you can understand that well. So that's show, don't tell. And this is why I spend a lot of time showing you different examples and helping you understand things with examples rather than explain a lot about how grammar works, okay? So I'm trying to show you how grammar works. I want to show you rather than tell you how the grammar works. And so ChatGPT will often tell you how the grammar works because like that's how it understands and that's how most people teach. All right, so just keep that in mind. So the grammar is important, but think about it more from particular situations. So I want to talk about like how do I don't know, order food at a restaurant or something. And ChatGPT can help me with that because it's got lots of examples. Then you can ask maybe what are the particular grammar points you used if you want to know that information, but it's just less important. Let's see, Nils says, or Annette says, I hear you clear and loud. The expression is I hear you loud and clear. We actually say we reverse those two, but glad to hear it. So I hear you loud and clear, loud and clear. And grammatically, there's nothing wrong with that, but we just put the words in that order, loud and clear. I remember watching a movie, Die Hard 3. Was that Die Hard 3? Die Hard with a Vengeance, as a Bruce Willis. I think it was the third Die Hard movie with him and Samuel L. Jackson in New York. And Bruce Willis is talking to some, I think they're like German, I don't know, like they're basically German. They're not spies. They're like some kind of like, I don't know, like the bad guys are basically Germans in that movie. And they're pretending like they speak English. They have some like Chicago, no, they're in New York. So New York police officer uniforms on, and the police officer, the German guy who's pretending to be a police officer. So I think they killed some police and then put on their uniforms or something. But he says, wow, it's, I don't know about this weather. It's raining dogs and cats over here. And Bruce Willis is like, oh, that's interesting. He said dogs and cats instead of cats and dogs, which is what a native would say. So it's not actually, you know, like it doesn't really matter which one you say, but the kind of correct, natural way that people would say it is that order. So if we're talking about, I hear you loud and clear, it's raining cats and dogs. As you get more examples, you will feel more confident about that. You will understand these. Mohammed again, another question, please. Why do you recommend the cat in the hat? You should go back and watch the video to see why I recommend the cat in the hat. Okay, go again. Hello, teacher. Now I've just hit the like. Glad to hear it. Yes, I could feel the like coming through. I actually can't see on the live version little hearts or other things like it is on Instagram. It's a little bit different. All right, Mom says, thank you a lot. Hello, teacher. Okay, go again. Can I ask you another question? English has so many verbs that I always have to look them up to choose the correct answer. It's like being in a tunnel. You should pick a specific thing you want to know about and then focus on that, because that's the secret right there. So don't worry about, even if you don't understand some other verbs, focus on something. Excuse me, just pick one thing and do that. Pardon me. Let me focus on some water over here. We've been going for an hour. Okay. All right, should we have a few final questions over here? Lewis says, you are talking about movie Die Hard. Yes, so Die Hard 3, I think. Die Hard with a Vengeance. Daytone. Hey, Drew. Arturo here. Ah, okay. Hope you remember me. Well, I think you keep changing your name if that's the same Arturo. I want to speak English like you. Really, I really need to help me. I think my level B1. Based on your comment, I would say you need to study more, like focus more on the basics. I promise you. Just find a copy of this. You can probably just read it online somewhere. I'm sure it's available. Just go read The Cat in the Hat and look at these very basic words and see how they are used, okay? And then go to YouTube and listen to someone telling you the story of The Cat in the Hat, okay? And that's just one example. Maybe you don't like The Cat in the Hat. It doesn't really matter. But find something like what we're doing in Fluent for Life. This is how we get people fluent automatically. You're just getting lots of varied review that helps you understand the vocabulary well. And that's how you start speaking. All right, can you please write down the title? You mean the title of the video? Just look in the description. You should see it right on YouTube. It's how to speak English fluently with few words. Salvador from Nicaragua, I guess. Hello, teacher. I understand you completely, but when I try to speaking, I can't. Yes. So looking at your comment, I can see basic errors in that, and that's the real problem. So again, most of the people I help are in this group over here. They know a lot of vocabulary, but they don't know that vocabulary. They don't know that vocabulary very well. And that's why they make lots of errors when they speak. All right, so they don't feel confident about it because they just don't know it very well. So I promise you, pick one word, even like just any basic word you like, whatever. It doesn't even need to be a basic word, but just spend a day picking one word and focus on that. Get a bunch of different examples and you will feel very confident and you will know that I am correct. So you will know, like I really should focus on something. Okay, that's the hard truth for people. You don't need to learn more, you need to learn better. You need to focus more on what you already have, okay? It's kind of like, it's like if you have like a man with like a good woman, but he's still like, you know, looking at other women or whatever. You know, like you will look at other women, but like, you know, spend more time with your woman. Yeah. Like actually focus on that and you will have a better relationship, typically, okay? Let's see. Mike says, what will the next class be about? I don't know, you tell me. What should the next class be about? Typically, like these classes are just questions I get from learners. So if learners say like how to learn whatever, I've really covered everything. But I try to make some videos that teach you some new vocabulary, but we still cover the same idea because people need to hear this again and again. And always we're getting new people coming to the videos, and so I like to welcome new people. I know there are people who are watching this, it's their first video of mine, so I wanted to make sure they understand me and they're connecting and understanding the basic idea of how we teach. All right, so there is some repetition there, but I always try to say it in a different way. Richard says, another issue is that when I watch English movies, some words I do not understand because they are using slang, idiomatic words, especially from native speakers. Yeah, your writing, by the way, is quite good, so I can hear you can like understand things better. I would lower your level of the kind of videos you watch. So maybe watch a movie for kids, something like that. Don't be shy about watching a movie for kids. Enjoy it, you will feel very confident, and typically movies for kids will also have some content in for adults, like the parents who are going to watch these movies too. But enjoy those movies, and you will learn a lot from them. Hong says, thanks so much, my teacher handsome. You're too kind. Emerson, yes, I am in the B groups, haha. Okay, glad to hear it. All right, look at that. We got through the end of comments. Hopefully I've explained basically how this works. But remember this idea, okay? I will cover this again. The basic idea is that most learners, like the people I help, the people looking for help, they are here in the middle. So they know a lot of vocabulary, but they still make a lot of errors. And so this is why they're not getting the job they want, they're losing the interview, or they're not able to get, I don't know, whatever, like a good conversation with people. Maybe they can understand movies, but they can't express themselves very well. That's where this comes from. So you have these three groups of learners. This one over here, they don't know many words, but they use them well. And so they get respect. You know, people like, oh, I would like hire that person because they actually show that they can learn the vocabulary and use that vocabulary well. And then obviously the goal over here is to have a large vocabulary but use it well. So if you were here, if you know a lot of words but you don't understand them very well, you don't feel very confident about using them, stop learning new vocabulary. Focus on the vocabulary you already have and you will become a more confident speaker. All right, that's it for this video. Hopefully you have enjoyed it. If you have, do click the like button, click it a few times, you know, and tell other people about the video. Also, if you'd like me to guide you step by step, how we get people fluent is in Fluent for Life, and we also, again, have Frederick in the link below. Both of those are down in the links below this video, and those will help you get fluent like a native, help you understand English as a first language, so you speak English as a first language. All right, have a fantastic day, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.